Black cisgender heterosexual identified men are killing Black trans women. Black ones.
We are not talking about it in the church.
Those street guys are already engineers. If they're mixing drugs and stuff together, they're chemical engineers.
If you're just like, yeah, let's kill 50 cops just because, that's only a fraction of the Black people that they killed. Wait, now you're talking about my wife.
For those of you who are joining in, we are talking about just the housing in the Black community and owning property, why it's important, and how to get yourself in there.
When I think of financial literacy, I just don't think of the classroom work. I think some of it is practical application.
I'm scared, especially, calling them to arms, talking about poll workers or poll watchers. That is rooted in history of voter suppression and intimidation.
Joe Biden needs to make that a part of his educational platform.
Call that shit out.
I don't see much value in you speaking in tongues, and yet when you speak in English, you don't say nothing for my people.
Many of the reasons why we're dying is because the conditions we live under that cause our health to be so bad, and that cause it's the food, it's the water, it's clean that shit up first.
Their fathers had prostate cancer, I had like a 150% chance of getting cancer, being diagnosed with cancer. I had a friend that did a raw vegan diet, 20 years remission, had thyroid cancer, never had surgery. I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
Hey everybody, we are so excited to be here today. So this week in Black People Shit, shut up and dribble. Are we winning in sports? I'm your host, Christy Ferris. With all the political talk that has been dominating the conversation recently, we decided to hold off on the political talk this week and pivot to an arena that Black people have contributed greatly for some time now, sports. Whether it's been basketball, football, baseball, track and field, Black athletes have been breaking records and racking up victories for over a century. But beyond our athletic accomplishments, we haven't had the same wins in the front office and coaching positions. Here with me today to discuss the many hurdles that Black people have to overcome to get an opportunity in sports beyond the field is actor and sports enthusiast Reggie Watkins. Let's make sure we bring him on. And as always, with me is my co-host and actress friend, Janora McDuffie, and writer Abdul Majid. Please make sure you don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this episode. And if you are on the Christy Ferris page, go ahead and jump on over to This Week in BPS page so we can start building up those numbers over there. Make sure you like and share and all that good stuff. So welcome everybody.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody.
What up?
Wednesday. Reggie, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to do a little introduction of you in a second, but I just want to make sure we say hello to everybody. So Everybody feeling okay?
Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah,
Good.
It feels better on this side of the earth than 6 feet under, so I ain't gonna complain.
Man, you know what? I just had 2 more friends die of the COVID.
Oh,
had no idea. Yeah, 2 more friends. Yeah, I mean, I just was shocked. I just, as a matter of fact, because a friend of mine, he hit me up on Christmas and then on New Year's Day, and he died on the 5th. And I just found out this week. Yeah.
How old were they?
Both of them 50. One was in his 50s, the other one's in his 60s.
Wow.
So
Any pre-existing conditions you know about, or just out of the blue?
You know what? I am not quite sure. I know one of them that was in his 50s. He was taking care of his mother who had COVID and ended up getting COVID himself, and he ended up passing away. So I can't even imagine what the mom must be feeling. And for all of you guys that are out there, just know that next week we are going to have a friend of mine who is a doctor who took the COVID test. So I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. He took the vaccine, both doses. So he'll be on to talk to you about that. Now, let's get into Reggie. I guess today is
Christy, can I say something? Because that's a big thing that some of my friends have been talking about, the COVID vaccine and Black people with the vaccine. And my general thought on it is I definitely understand the skepticism that we as Black people have with American hospitals, American doctors, because of history. But when you see white people getting the vaccine, we good to get the vaccine. Go ahead and get the vaccine. We're going to be okay.
I don't agree with that, but okay.
Well, we'll definitely jump into it when we get to Hank Aaron. But yeah, I mean, my pastor did a whole I guess service about it, and he brought up the whole fact that he was like, look, when you go to the hospital and you had a heart attack, you're not asking them about the stuff that they putting into your system at that moment. You gonna let them take care and say, do whatever you can to make sure that I live and survive. But on the flip side of it, today on the news, there was a doctor or a nurse who took his second dose, and 4 hours later, he started having he was having problems breathing, and then something else happened to him, and he ended up dying the next day. So
there's also a report of people having Bell's palsy. There's also the report of people having fainting. There's also people reporting and the fact that white people get it and so black people should get it was never a thing. White people eat and we eat, but we ain't eating the same shit. So
I don't know. It was a thing for me. So I understand you on that level, Reggie. And there's also a thing with people are dying from COVID. How we started this conversation and the vaccine. I trust people I know. I don't necessarily trust everything I read now in this day of fake news, but people that I know and trust have gotten it. So I'm on board. And now I ain't saying I'm getting it. I ain't even in line right now. But I do support the people that I know.
I'm for my cousin took the shot, and he's the head of emergency for Columbia Presbyterian in Manhattan, and they made him take the shot. They make where he had to take the shot because he's around people. So
but it's gonna be mandatory. It's coming. It's coming.
Oh, it's definitely coming. Tim said there are side effects, sometimes fatal, with most medicines and vaccines. It's everything. Just the law of averages.
It's not exactly true. Never mind. All right.
My mother recently, when we were talking about the vaccine, and both of my parents are getting the vaccine this week back in North Carolina. But my mother said she had a reaction to the shingles vaccine or something.
Yeah, but with the shingles vaccine. And the typhoid vaccine and the polio vaccine, those things were studied for years before they started shooting people up with it.
Well, so what you're saying is you're worried about the timetable.
Yes, I'm worried about them rushing it.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is sometimes when you start out with a vaccine, people have to be the guinea pigs. And if we want to stop this thing from really spreading the way it's spreading, then there's going to have to be a bunch of guinea pigs. And it sucks to say, but statistically, any drug you have, people die, people get sick from it. There's people who can't take Tylenol without breaking out or losing their mind or something happening to them. That's just a part of the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you get time to figure out that Tylenol does not work for this person. Right now, we're in a rapid hurry to get this vaccine so that the world can open back up. So we're probably going to have different iterations of this vaccine. And it sucks. The longer you can hold off and wait to see what happens, you probably should. But it's going to be coming to the point of where you're going to have it to go back to work. I know for being on film sets, they're not going to want to keep doing this. Go get tested. We'll get you tested. We'll pay for it. They're not going to want to do this. And I've had to do that 3 times for jobs coming up recently where they just want people to be vaccinated and then you just show up to work. So we don't got to keep doing this and raising our insurance bill.
Well, we just hope that if the vaccine is taken, that it actually works and that it does prevent us from getting, getting something, because that's the whole big thing. Now that you have these other strains that are coming in, we don't even know if the vaccine is going to prevent those other
another 2. I think there's a third one out now. There's 2 strains outside. There's a third one, and as a matter of fact, they're talking about another strain somewhere in Europe somewhere that they're talking about. I heard Portugal or something like that, but there's another strain of it. So
so 2 mics up. Thank you for watching on YouTube. I'll wait until round 12. Let me see what happens after the fallout. Well, I feel you. I'm not trying to get it right away. I'm just not. What's up, Tangerine?
Hey, Tangerine.
Say no to drugs. Got that right.
I'm not trying to take it, but I am looking at everybody else that's taking it and be like, how you feeling? So So let's jump into our guest. Our guest today is a former college football player who now hosts his own sports podcast called Talking Sports with the Franchise, and currently can be found on the digital podcast network show Brothers on Football, providing an in-depth breakdown of the game. Everybody, please make sure you welcome once again Reggie Watkins.
Hey,
Reggie.
And just so you guys know that Reggie is also an actor as well as a voice actor. He is the voice of Sergeant Lawrence Sims in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And he's also the co-creator of the nonprofit, The Valley of Change. So my brother over here doing some big things.
Yes, welcome.
Taking the time to join us. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Wu-Tang tattoo?
It's the W with my last name. So when I was,
I almost thought you was cool, man. I thought, get the Wu-Tang. Go ahead.
That's very cool.
When I was 18, I ran to me and one of my best friends. We both had the last name started with W's. Mm-hmm. So we were like, "Yo, we got to take that Woo W, put our name inside of it, and run." And
flip it.
18, I ran and got this tattoo, and it's been there.
You happy about it? Because you know,
it's cracking. But I still like the tattoo. I mean, it's my name, but as you get older, and in the profession I chose, I have to get it covered up, you know. And I would rather not have to have that step, or sometimes I got to wear long sleeve shirts when I do auditions to make sure that people, even though they have makeup artists that can cover this up, some people just don't want to go the extra step, and
and sometimes they don't be matching our skin either.
Exactly,
you know what I mean. So just be looking a mess.
That's why LL always has to wear those long sleeve shirts in NCIS LA because of that big tattoo. Yeah, it'd be hot, running around LA, long ass shirt.
All right, so let me just say first, we want to take the time out to honor two greats that have one recently passed and one we are honoring from a year ago. The first one we'll start with is Kobe Bryant. It is so crazy to think that it's been a year that he has been gone. I mean, this great man, and I'm glad that he went out with a bang, because I know at one point in time he had all that controversy when he had some issues, but the fact that people loved him in the end, to me, is very special. He seemed like such a great father, and I'm just sad to see that it's been a year, and close to our our age and stuff. Abdul, how do you feel about everything?
Well, I told you for my New Year's special that was the big thing for me, because I'm from Jersey. I'm from Central Jersey, and I used to watch Kobe since high school. Lower Marymount, watch him play all games, watched him all the way through his professional career. Met him a couple times. Really nice dude when I met him. I was like a big. I don't like to use the word fan, but I admired his athleticism. I admired his hard work and dedication. He's a guy who used every ounce of ability he had. He didn't leave nothing to chance. Kobe wasn't. If you look at any of his workouts, that they put the statistics on his workout, he wasn't the highest jumper in the world. He didn't have the most muscular frame. Phil Jackson said Michael Jordan had a better frame because he was big, wider, more muscular. He didn't have you couldn't jump out the roof like Vince Carter or Zion Williams can right now, but he had enough ability and all that hard work capability and footwork, and he was just a workhorse. And I feel bad beyond the fact that's just him, but all the families that died on that aircraft that day. They were all athletes, other than the parents. The young ladies were athletes as well, going to a basketball game. So him, his daughter, the other, I forgot the other name of the families. Sorry about that. But I mean, but it's just sad. I still can't believe it. It's one of those things that you really just can't believe.
Yeah, you don't imagine somebody like that who you think is that powerful. You can't imagine people like that leaving. Reggie, how was your, how do you feel about it, all of it?
Man, it's a tough, I've had a long journey with my Kobe Bryant fandom. I started out young. You know, when I was a kid, he was coming to the NBA. You know, it was like my last year in high school was when he came to the NBA. I think he was drafted in 96.
96,
right? So that was my last year in high school. And I was all about this young dude coming in, right? Oh, this young dude's coming into the NBA. I was so excited to see another, you know, and this was like a wing player, because before there weren't really wing players that were coming into the league early like that and having the kind of sets. I mean, the one who before him, the most famous one before him was Kevin Garnett, right? And Kevin Garnett was a big, tall, skinny dude, but he was tall. And so Kobe was the first wing player coming into the NBA that we were like, whoa, this is crazy. He's going to come into the NBA from high school, and let's see what this dude can do. And I was a Kobe fan because I was a Jordan fan, but Jordan was kind of before me. You know what I mean? Before my time. I wanted this guy to be my Jordan, right? I wanted to have my own Jordan. And he did that for me. For the first half of his career, I was a Kobe dude. Like, I love Kobe. I'm a Laker fan. And as time went on, I became more of a LeBron fan and started to go away from Kobe, because on the court, I became a coach. I started coaching my son's basketball team. And my son played like LeBron. And I saw how fun all the other kids had playing with my son, because even though my son was the best player on the team, he would pass the ball and get everybody involved. So my relationship with Kobe started to wane, because I was going more towards this team-oriented, get everybody involved guy, instead of the I'm the hero, I'm the last shot guy, everything goes through me. And then as Kobe retired, I became a bigger Kobe fan. Right. I started to see him, because it felt like he got out of being this everything's about me, I'm the macho guy. I'm going to be about family, and I'm going to pour my passion into other things, in other avenues. And I started seeing that dude look like he was comfortable. I used to watch him in interviews after games sometimes, and he would be speaking to reporters, and it didn't feel genuine. But when I saw him retire, and I heard him speak, and I saw him with his daughter, and I even saw him on a TV show with Jalen Rose. Jalen Rose had a pilot he was doing called Everybody Loves Jalen. Yep. Kobe has a scene in there that I would not believe that Kobe was capable of acting in. He was the funniest person in the whole damn thing. And that first Kobe, the first 15 years, 14-year Kobe, couldn't have done that. But the Kobe that retired was able to be that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see as we got towards the end of his career with the Oscar, and watching him speak at all these different events and stuff. He moved out of that whole selfishness, it seemed like, or just maybe that focus that he had. Yeah. Because a lot of people say that about MJ as well. How about you, Janora?
Yeah, so I would call it focus more than selfishness. And I corrected myself. And I went to University of North Carolina, so there will be no bad words said about Michael Jordan either. But because I went to University of North Carolina, it means that I am more of a college basketball fan than an NBA fan, right? NBA is not a team sport, but I'm not going to go into that because we're talking about Kobe. And the point being is that I was really moved. I think Kobe's passing is one of those episodes where it's just like you remember where you were when you got that news. It was and it hit that way, not for just people who were really into the Lakers, really into the NBA, but for everyone. And I think that really speaks to what a man he was, regardless of what you thought of him as the greatest player. Maybe LeBron was better, maybe Michael Jordan was better. You cannot deny his excellence, and you cannot deny his commitment to being the best. And for folks a year later to remember the Mamba mentality and incorporate that in their life, that is something that you leave a legacy with, and that's what you leave people behind with. And I'm with you, Reg. And you too, Christy, when it comes to his post life, like him winning an Oscar, I think his best was yet to come. Yes, he still left us with something great, but I really wish I would have seen another chapter. And with his passing and whole eyes on his life and what he did stand for, shout out Kobe Bryant and love toward women's sports and love toward just being an international citizen, a world citizen. So yes, I am celebrating Kobe today.
Yes, you better put your Kobe on.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I did borrow this from my wife. I don't want to, but it does mean something to me, and I do feel something. And I think that is what we all shoot for: is for our life to mean something and to leave it better than we found it.
I think what was hard for me was to see Kobe and Chadwick Boseman pass, because it made me look at my life a little bit differently, of like, wow, like it could be any of us at any time. We're not guaranteed anything. There is nothing that is guaranteed. And so that's why I was like, I need to hurry up and, make a baby or something, because ain't nothing guaranteed, right? I know that was random, but that just was on my brain at this moment.
Keep it real. Because Abdul was keeping it real up there crying. I saw some tears over there that you were wiping away, Abdul. It's okay.
Oh, is that what I was doing? Okay. Yeah. We'll run with it.
So moving on to honoring Hank Aaron, who passed away this past week, which was really sad. And just for you guys who are not familiar with his work, I mean, they called him the home run king for 33 years because he had 755 home runs. He also had 3,771 career hits in baseball. And one of the controversies that we have is that he took his first shot of the vaccine for COVID January 5th. So some people are kind of trying to relate his death to the vaccine. So we'll start with you, Janora. Your thoughts just on who Hank Aaron was, if you're familiar with him, and then also the vaccine.
I am not going to rest in conspiracy or trying to tie the vaccine to his death. I'm just going to celebrate that man and what he meant as an athlete and as a human being. I cannot imagine being a Black man from the South living during Jim Crow, and then to be able to be as great as he was despite the hate, the death threats. It is just a testament of resilience and how we have to stop with excuses of what's wrong. If Hank Aaron can and many others of their time can do what they did, then what is our excuse? Mm-hmm. And so what I also feel with his passing is just this generation that remembers because they lived it is starting to leave, and those who are left so easily forget. So that's what really struck a chord with me. So may he rest in peace. And he is another man who we don't just recognize for what he did on that baseball field in Diamond, but who he was as a human being.
Amen. Okay, 2 mics up. He was grace and excellence combined in a bottle. That's what I'm talking about. And I want to know what 2 mics up is at one point in time before we get off.
It's a fantastic podcast. Yours truly is going to be a guest coming up soon. But yes, it's us supporting each other. So thank you for being it. Up. I have a chance to sit down with them this Sunday. So I'll tell you all about it and how to support them as well. So I appreciate in advance the support you guys showing up today.
Amen. Abdul, your thoughts on Mr. Aaron and the COVID?
Yeah, hammering Hank Aaron. I think, the COVID part of it, I don't know. It's just he was up in age. I'm not sure if he had any pre-existing conditions that might have affected him, or if he had something that could have adversely affected him. But they didn't say. They just said he passed away. They didn't say it was attributed to. Like they said, Larry King. Larry King, they said passed because of COVID when it came. So I'm not thinking that they're going to hide it, that he passed because of COVID. But as a man, as a player, all the things he had to endure, the death threats when he was beating Babe Ruth's home run record, the fact that he mentored Barry Bonds and he was friends with his father, Bobby Bonds. But he mentioned Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds surpassed his home run record. So I mean, well, they with asterisks next to it, but I mean, but yeah, he was like the gentleman said, to myself, he was grace. He was a great spokesman for the Black community, and he's done a lot outside that people don't know about in terms of him giving charity to Black organizations, helping out in different marches, and speaking out about the plight of Black people, and mentoring a lot of Black athletes, or just giving them advice anytime they said he would see them. He would have a kind word or something to say, because like Janora said, the time that they went through might have been a bit tougher. It's different, but might have been a bit tougher than what's going on now. And he was able to overcome all those obstacles. And I think, God bless his soul. And I hope we always remember him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I know one of the things that they were talking about as far as the vaccine, him, Andrew Young, a whole bunch of Black activists went to Morehouse to take the vaccine to promote, the whole thing. And of course, now it's kind of backfiring on them because with Hank Aaron passing away. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Reggie, your thoughts?
He was a hero. I mean, he's past my time, for being there to watch his exploits on the baseball diamond. But, just the stories that you grew up with. You always grew up hearing about Hank Aaron being, the home run king. And then when you do some study and you find out, with America, we usually do this. We glance over all the real shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he was the home run leader, but we don't talk about how, like Abdul was talking about, the death threats that this man got because he was going to break a dumbass sports record, right? People in America could not take a Black man being somebody they were going to have to pay fealty to, right? They were going to have to look at this guy as the king of their sport. And that was huge that he did that. And I just think, he should be celebrated all the time, celebrated more than we even do. I don't study him enough and haven't really, delved into Hank enough, but I know the name, and I know that if I ever was to meet that man when he was alive, I wouldn't want to leave a room until I heard everything he had to say,
I was just going to add that it's interesting because a lot of people don't realize, especially white Americans, they don't realize that a lot of the people that they're celebrating right now, people hated them. Martin Luther King, you know what I mean?
Muhammad Ali,
or just all the things that they did to all of these Black athletes that now they're honoring.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown, number 42.
You're talking about
Jackie Robinson. You know what I mean? Just how they hated on all of these people. And yet now we're, everybody's being celebrated. And of course, people are like, well, that was a long time ago. It's like, at some point in time, you got to realize that this stuff affected a lot of them,
Yeah. So. And I feel like we celebrate so much, like, we celebrate. He was such a tolerant. He was, he had grace, and he was, we need to be more, more throwing it in the face of these people who allowed the racism to even happen, that we have to be celebrating him being somebody that was so tolerant and, soft and didn't lash out, because that took a lot of strength to do what he did and sit there and take these death threats and still keep showing up to the ballpark. And hell, you watch when he broke the record, there was people running on the field, white dudes running on the field. Like, what do you think he was thinking? After getting all these death threats and people saying they wanted to kill him, and he wouldn't live to see the home run record. And then all of a sudden he hits the home run record, and there's white people running on the field.
Pat him on the back.
Yeah, luckily they came and they were like, these guys were celebrating him, but
who
knows what was going to happen and what was going through that man's head at that moment.
Right.
That's a lot.
But even a lot of those older athletes, like I remember we were talking last week about Muhammad Ali because of the movie One Night in Miami. And what always I see these sports announcers on TV and the revisionist history of how these guys are the greatest, Jim Brown, this person, that person, these guys are amazing athletes, but really doesn't go into, like what Reggie said, go into the depths of how hard and difficult their lives were. Not just them, but their family. I'm talking about, just imagine you being traumatized because, or your child is being traumatized because you want to play baseball, or you want to play football, or you're faster than everybody, or whatever it is. Like, your family's being traumatized with all these things, to the point of a lot of them. I heard a story about, who was it? I believe Muhammad Ali's daughter don't watch boxing or something to that effect. Yeah, like they're not into that boxing, and there's some other people. But I mean, so yeah, this revisionist history that this country has, and the country that you continue to promote, to me, is the most infuriating thing of all. Just because if we don't know how hard people really had it and the things that they really had to overcome, we sort of dismiss their accomplishments.
Yeah.
In one of the interviews,
go ahead.
I saw, Hank Aaron was described not as talking about what he had to go through and woe is me, but how much stronger of a man he has become because of what he went through.
That sounds like most Black people. Another note.
No, I'm saying I think most Black people, at least our generation or the generation before us or in front of us, loves to make excuses about why it's so hard, I can't do it, and not to negate the things that are present that make shit hard. But I think Hank Aaron didn't dwell there, and he talked about his growth and his resilience. And
I have to push back on that, though.
We're missing a little bit.
I have to push back on that a little bit. The fact that this generation and our generation, we had mass incarceration and we had a drug epidemic that was unlike anything that's ever hit the Black community from heroin forward. And it decimated communities left and right. The thing Hank Aaron had, the thing Jim Brown. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. But if you look at any psychologist or any psychotherapist, they say the two things that are most important for a child is to have two parents to enable to teach them. We have a generation of people who either have no parent or one parent, and they were taken out by drugs, and they were taken out by the criminal justice system. Hank Aaron had two parents. Muhammad Ali had two parents. Like, we can go down the list of people who were raised, and they were raised in a community. The things that this generation don't have. We don't have a community.
I feel like you can have examples of great people who came from single-family homes as well as people who came from two-family homes.
You can, but they also had a community.
Had it worse. That's not where my conversation is coming from. I am recognizing and not negating at all the bullshit that people of color have to go through. All I'm saying is that Hank Aaron was an example of somebody who didn't make that as an excuse of why he couldn't be great. That's all I'm saying. And I feel like when you get stuck in, oh, this is the problem, oh, this is why I can't get ahead, and that's it. No, learn from Hank Aaron and others who stood and persisted. That's all. I'm sure that there's an argument until next week, Abdul. In fact,
Hank Aaron didn't have Instagram. Hank Aaron didn't have a platform for him to tell all his. He didn't have Instagram.
That's so funny.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. We're gonna move on.
This later.
I know, because we could go back and forth all
Oh yeah,
day
sorry,
long.
Reggie. We do this all the time.
No, I love it.
Oh my God. I know. And it's so funny.
I'm literally sipping tea while y'all doing
And thank you, Tori, over to Little John. I love you. Thank you for showing up.
Okay, so the WNBA owner and former Senator Kelly Loeffler she is being pressured to sell the Atlanta Dream. Now, one of the great things about some of their teammates, which is one of their athlete players, and obviously that Kelly is her boss, but Elizabeth Williams, she's a superstar on the team, and she helped lead the league in this movement to unseat Republican Senator Kelly, which happens to be the co-owner of the team. So my thing is all of this greatness that these athletes are doing, that these women are doing, what do you guys feel about that? And we'll start with you, Abdul.
I think Kelly Loeffler should have been in jail for insider trading from the door, because she did get that is a story. She found that when they tried to prove for insider trading you can look it up, but I think I commend the women and athletes for their participation and activism. For one, them trying to get her out of there because she didn't stand for what the team stood for. She's going to be on the wrong side of history in terms of her stance about us, white privilege and civil unrest and all the things that are happening. I think that, and I like the fact, the one thing that the NBA and the WNBA really has is that they have a voice unlike any other generation of sports, possibly except for maybe boxing in the 80s and 70s and 60s when they spoke up more. But I mean, I commend those women for speaking up against their boss and didn't worry about the ramifications that probably could have happened to them, possibly losing their job, because you're going against an owner. It's not like you're going against a coach. You're going against the person who cuts your check.
Owner. And just so you guys know, she spoke out against the whole thing of the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Basically was telling them to shut up and dribble.
Mm-hmm.
And because all of these women came together, Warnock said that it became a turning point in his campaign. And within 48 hours, he picked up 3,500 new donors and raised an additional $200,000, according to Forbes. So go ahead, powerful women. And that's why they were speaking up against their owner. Reggie, what are your thoughts?
It's just more Black people, Black women saving America. You know what I'm saying? I mean, basically, that's what they did. You know, I mean, like Abdul was saying about, the NBA and the WNBA. I mean, the NBA, they're able to speak out and have such a voice because they've got these massive guaranteed contracts where they ain't gonna lose sleep if they talk some shit and it blow back. I already got 30 mil. Like, I'm good. The WNBA women, I think, were amazing because they just said, not today. Basically, not today. And the dynamics of the league play into it as well. Most of these women, they don't make that much money here. They make more money playing overseas. So to hell with what you're talking about, the WNBA. We don't need you, right? You need us for this product to work. And that's what I love about seeing how these women did this, because they're proving once again, this is something that I'm really big about with my Valley of Change. Just I talk to people about. I'm so big about unionizing. And when people unionize, that's when shit changes. That's what the government's been trying to kill us off unions. They try to destroy unions. Capitalism tries to destroy unions. But every now and then, you get a group of people who are like, nope, we're going to stand tall. We're going to say what we got to say. And they make the change. And these women did that. Unions work. Yeah. I mean, you watch the stock trades that were happening today. GameStop is a bunch of Reddit unions. And they blew the stock trade up and made some money.
So just piggybacking before I get to you, Janora, a player from Minnesota in 2016, she spoke out about the death of somebody that ended up getting killed in St. Paul. My brain is not working right now. And then
Glenda Castillo.
Yes, thank you. Maya Moore took, in the peak of her career in 2019. She pushed for criminal justice reform, and then a few months later, Natasha Cloud of the Washington Mystics, she staged a media blackout. Tina Charles donated her entire salary to the Black Lives Matter movement. So these women were not playing. So exactly what you were just saying. How about you, Janora?
Yeah, and I'm even remembering, didn't we do the story? Was it Kyrie Irving?
Paid for her whole season.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just that collaboration of coming together for a cause and a mission and just showing what's possible. And I think, I'm not sure where things are in terms of new ownership, but I knew there was even talk of a collaboration and bringing together of resources with LeBron James and some other players. And so that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And speaking of Kyrie Irving, we do have to give him a shout out because he did buy a home for George Floyd's family.
He did. Wow.
He bought the home for George Floyd's family.
Let me ask y'all too, because I have a group chat that I talk to some of my boys about, and I got some cats who are so down on Kyrie, and I'm just not there. I think Kyrie is just an eccentric brother who is not here to do the exact same thing that everybody wants him to do. I have no problem with this man deciding I don't want to play these games right now because I'm going through something. Like, we do this whole mental health push about we need to be able to speak out. We need to be able to be in touch with our feelings. And if you're feeling something, say something. But then when the brother want to sit down for a couple of games and say, yo, I'm not in a good space, I need to collect myself. Now he's a punk, or he should be, you know what I mean? It's so back and forth. We got to get to an accord where if we're going to be about mental health, then really be about it.
I'm for Kyrie. For one, he's from Jersey. For two, the only reason they have an issue with Kyrie is because he's valuable to them.
Mm-hmm.
If he wasn't valuable to them, they'd waive him and trade him like they do everybody else.
Go on.
So my issue with it is how what's the word I'm looking for? Hypocritical it is for you to complain about somebody when you need them, and then when they're not producing the way you want them to. They're like, oh, cut him, get that bum off the team. We don't need him there. They root against you. So, I mean, I'm for Kyrie. I'm for all the players who are standing up against social injustice, using their platform, their voices, because that's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, maybe next to music, but I think sports is more influential people we have in our community. And and they're not just trying to get their check. They're not just trying to, hey, I got mine, might as well, not say anything else. I remember when George Floyd died, it was the Bucks who said, we're not going to play. And that sparked everybody else, WNBA and all the other NBA players, to not play. It was those athletes, and they stood up and said, we're not going to do this. And then everybody fell in line. It was the Clippers that outed the owner of the Clippers and got him to sell his share because of how he was treating. They took their jerseys off and threw it in the center of the court because he was treating.
The Clippers.
Because how he was treating the black athletes and black people outside in terms of homes. So I mean, I'm just Kyrie and all these guys. I'm happy that they're using their platform to speak up for some stuff that because no one would listen if they didn't.
And real quick, I just want to say something, Kristen, real quick to that. It's dope that they're doing this, but I don't mind if this isn't your bag either, right? Mm-hmm. Not every athlete needs to be most of these cats want to be Muhammad Ali, but there's too much of a cost to be Muhammad Ali. So I'm not mad if every athlete don't want to get out there and be marching or put their name on something. It's not for you. But I love the ones who actually do that. And I don't look for anybody to be my moral compass. I don't need these athletes to be my moral compass. But the ones who do put themselves out there and do it, I commend them.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a great button for that. I appreciate that because it is true. And we do have to remember that it's not for everybody, and we shouldn't shame anybody for not wanting to do it. Now, if you're talking about Black Lives Matter don't matter, then that's a whole nother subject. I just want to briefly touch on this, but just so you guys know that there is a possible NBA All-Star Weekend that could be happening in Atlanta. And my whole thing is that I think that's just stupid. It's dumb. People are not going to be masking up. They don't even mask up when they go to the strip club out there right now. So what are your thoughts on that? Everybody just give a couple of little sentences. I'll start with you, Janora.
Yeah, I'm with you, Christy. All those black folks down there in Atlanta, let's stay home. Let's figure this vaccine out, COVID out. Unless they had no spectators. But folks be out. Folks be on the stroll. So
they're going to have some parties out in Atlanta because they're going to make some money.
Yeah. So I say not the best.
The same thing I say about it all the time. I mean, I can't be anybody's daddy, right? People are going to go out and do what they're going to do. All I can do is what I can do. I'll wear my mask, I'll wash my hands, and if you out doing what you're doing and you're around other people, I'm hoping that if you're in my constellation that you are being safe and doing what you're doing. But I can't police everybody. I don't know. And I know if Atlanta is open, people are gonna be out there having a good time. That's what they're gonna do.
Have a good time. Abdul?
Atlanta's lit. If you're gonna get COVID, get it with some stripper titties in your face.
All right, moving on to the Super Bowl, everybody. So we obviously know that the Super Bowl is going to be on the 7th of February. We got the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. I was not happy. You know what? I was actually a little bit going for Tom Brady prior to, just because I wanted to see him win a little bit, because, you know, the whole Patriots in Boston I went to college in Boston, so a lot of people were hating on him. And then I got this from a friend of mine that I've been arguing with, a black friend who is all about Trump. And he sent this to me, and it made me go, dang, I got to go for Patrick Mahomes, which I'm not going for anyway. That right there just pissed me off. I was like, oh, man. I just don't know if I can do it now. But who are you guys going for? What are your thoughts about this whole Super Bowl?
Hey, quick question.
Yes.
I know he supported Trump the first go round. Did he support Trump this past go round?
Yes.
I just want to.
Oh, he has recently?
Yes. Not him leaving, but he did him for both terms. And him and Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, were both avid Trump supporters, and they defended him a lot of the stuff, and then they just kept quiet, but they didn't speak against him like they would ask any other black person to do.
Well, but Kraft was supposed to get an award, one of the highest awards or something like that Trump was trying to do in his last couple of days before he left, and Kraft turned it down.
Kraft also got caught in Florida in a sting with some prostitutes.
Underage women.
Yeah, so I think he was trying to dodge any bullet he could. And that one just wasn't a good look. So I don't give him all that credit for it.
Yeah, I just wanted Brady to kind of, prove something. I know Tangerine said, Christy, I should have known better. Reggie, what are your thoughts? I know this is your thing.
Well, I have not watched a single game of football this season.
So we still on the kick of not watching football no more.
Oh, no. Well, I watched when I had my podcast, which is on hiatus, Brothers on Football. I watched football when I was getting paid to talk about it. While I'm not getting paid, I do not support the NFL because of their treatment of Colin Kaepernick, and I've been boycotting since 3 years ago. I do know the NFL because, I see ESPN and I listen to the sports show, so I know what's going on. I've been betting actively against Tom Brady the last 2 weeks, and I've lost money. So what I will say is just on the football field, you got to give it up for him. Even though I'm not a fan of Tom Brady, he is the greatest football player, greatest quarterback that we've seen. For him to go from New England to Tampa Bay, who was 7-9 last year, turn him around, and he is the major influence that came over. Him, and we can't forget about Todd Bowles, who is the defensive coordinator. When I had last year, I pointed out that Bruce Arians,
black man,
he got all the black people coaching, right? Yep. He got Byron Leftwich is his offensive
coordinator. Yep.
The defensive coordinator Keith Armstrong is the special teams head coach. Like, he's got brothers everywhere, right? So Tom Brady came in and he helped turn him around. You got to give him that. I'm going for Patrick Mahomes because I think Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Never seen anybody throw the ball like that, man. Never seen anybody be able to run as well as he can and throw the ball greater than anybody ever. And he doesn't make mistakes. I'm rooting for Kansas City because, I want to see Mahomes. I want to see Mahomes win. I hope that they get it done.
Yeah, it's funny because a friend of mine was like, some family members were arguing. She was telling me the story because she's from Boston and she's has always been a great Boston fan. And of course, Boston didn't do well. The Patriots didn't do well at all this year. And so she was going for Tom Brady. And somebody was like, you got to go for the black man. You got to go for Patrick Mahomes. What's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, shoot, Patrick Mahomes ain't thinking about me. He married to a white chick right now, and I said, "Oh
sure.
Lord, don't go there. Don't go there. Let's just."
Is he married to her? I thought he was dating her.
It don't matter. He having a baby.
Yeah,
They are bonded for life.
Yes.
Yes. Two mics up said, F Tom Brady, keep it 100. The New Yorker in me will not allow me to root for anything related to him. Well, I could definitely understand that. I went to school in Boston, so I kind of, that's the only why I support.
Tom Brady also had a really good wide receiver core, and he had a really good running back, which helped him in that offense. I'm not rooting for Tom Brady. The fact because I'm from the Northeast, I was a Jets guy all my life. I mean the Giants guy all my life. I'm going for Patrick Mahomes, but I'm going for the Chiefs specifically for Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy,
me too,
is a coach, or offensive coordinator, who should have had a head coaching job years ago, and they shunned him every turn. I'm for him. I'm for Byron Leftwich. You should be getting a shot at offensive coach. I'm for the offensive coordinator for what's his name? You said his name just a couple seconds ago. For the Bucks.
Oh, defensive coordinator.
Todd Bowles. Yeah. So I'm for all those guys, but I am a Patrick Mahomes guy. I do like Mahomes. I think he's talented. It's kind of a mix of in my mind, he's kind of a mix of Randall Cunningham and Michael Vick in terms of his accuracy, the way he throws the ball like Cunningham, his ability to coordinate an offense, stay in the pocket, but he can run if he has to, and has a gun like Michael Vick had a gun. So, and he's short. He's at height like Michael Vick. He wasn't as tall as Cunningham. So
let me just. So let me just say, some of the Black assistant coaches are Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich, Leslie Frazier, Joe Woods, and then Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, Bieniemy. Thank you. I knew that. So, which brings us now to our next part of our segment, which is the lack of Black coaches in the NFL, and we're talking about head coaches. So obviously you guys know that the NFL has been around for over 100 years, and they're still struggling to hire Blacks in higher positions like the head of the head coaches. 70% of the players are Black, and 1/3 of the assistants are Black who are trying to work their way up to be head coaches. Yet they had 7 vacancies. And of the 7, so right now they filled all 6. All of them are white except for one, which
Texans.
is, I'm sorry?
I thought the Texans were supposed to be trying to fill the slot with that's what I read today.
Well, yeah, they did say that they're going to try
to fill the Black coach.
They
have not. No.
Right. So 6 have already been filled. 1 hasn't been filled, which is Texas. And none of them were filled with anybody white. And the only person that was of color is Robert Saleh, who was the first Muslim head coach. And the sad thing about it is that you have a situation where Eric should have been hired for a team, but they ended up going with this white guy who hasn't even been in the league that long. He's 39. Never called any plays or anything in the NFL. So, Reggie, I'll let you take this one and your thoughts, and also make sure that we talk about the Rooney Rule, which is what requires minorities to be hired.
No,
which
to
is
be interviewed, not hired. They have to be interviewed.
Yes. Thank you for correcting me. Go ahead, Reggie.
Well, I mean, I think this is just another example of the NFL telling Black people, we don't think you're smart enough to do meaningful jobs, right? Why are there only 2? If the workforce is 70% Black, how is the coaching force one was it 2%? How what is that? What does that happen? There's two Black coaches right now, right? It's Brian Flores and Tom. Okay? We got all these Black players, but we never get a Black. We rarely get Black head coaches, and that's because the NFL is telling you they don't think Black men can do this job, and they don't even. And the fact that they're doing these interviews and some of these end up being sham interviews. Yeah, you want to go because you want a chance to put your name out there, but they already know who they're going to hire. They already know what they're going to do, right? And the problem one of the bigger problems is you don't get enough black coaches in the coaching pipeline. And most of these head coaches always end up coming from an offensive background. But to be an offensive genius, you normally got to be some white dude who started as a graduate assistant. And how you get a graduate assistant job coaching in a college somewhere is is usually some kind of nepotism, or you got a connection with that coach. And usually that coach is a white dude, and people are hiring who they know, their friends, and what they look like. So it's going to be a continued cycle until somebody just bucks a trend and decides, yo, we're going to hire black people, because all it can do is help. You're closing off a huge part of the population for a job that, if you gave them a chance, probably would help you win more games. There's tons of teams who don't win championships, and they keep hiring the same dudes, the same kind of dude. Why not try something different? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. These cats are insane, but that's what racism is. It's insanity, right?
Abdul?
I've been watching Eric Bieniemy since he played in Colorado.
Me too.
In college, he was an insane running back. He was he was just an incredible athlete. He didn't get to a couple hiccups over his years, is what they keep throwing in his face. The same thing with Byron Leftwich. They keep throwing some of the hiccups he had in his face, but they don't do that to some of these other white coaches. I agree with everything.
So they haven't even had any experiences, and they're not even, and they're getting the opportunities.
I think the NFL is sort of the last vestige of white privilege that you can be had on a mass gladiator sort of scale. Because baseball is not like that anymore, because the Dominicans took it over, and the blacks took it over before the Dominicans took over. Boxing was taken over by the blacks in the 20s and the 30s. Golf was starting to become Asian because of the Korean pipeline system that they have, and Tiger Woods and some other players. Then you have basketball, which is completely black now. Track and field, completely black now. You know, if you look at all the sports, especially the major sports, black people have been taking over in front on the GM side, some on the owner side, specifically on the athlete side. So when you look at something like football, that's the last stronghold for them to keep something for themselves. And it's such an insane moneymaker. I mean, look at college football. I think this year alone, there are 20 open head coach jobs, and not a single black person got one of them. And it's hard for them to get jobs, even though when they want to get a black athlete, when they want to get some top athletes, they got to dig through every hood in Miami and in Alabama and Auburn and what have you. So I mean, it's an insane tradition, and it's hard for the athletes, especially the football players, to buck against the system, because they're not guaranteed their money. If they got guaranteed their money, I'm almost 100% believing, based off Twitter feeds and Instagram feeds, that they'd be all taking a knee and pushing back against the system. But because you can cut that check any way left or right, and the owner of the Cowboy even said, if you take a knee, you're fired the next day. I mean, they're collective bargaining.
Somebody else got fired with Kaepernick. Somebody else got fired. Another player got fired, because he took a knee. So, but go ahead.
And I'm just saying, they have the worst collective bargaining agreement in the history of sports right now. I mean, it's just insane. And they take the most risk.
So Joseph said, Houston's owner is the worst. His father made the comment, we can't have the prisoners running the yard. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when the players spoke out on the Kaepernick situation. I do remember that, which is really sad. And really, like I'm looking at Texas. I'm like, Eric, who's the assistant for the Chiefs. I think what makes it so sad is that, one, I feel like he should have gotten another position in one of these other places that he did not get. And then he's left with Texas, which I'm sure he'd be happy to take the job. But man, they're in debt. They don't have no money. They don't have a first round pick, a second round pick. I mean, it's just, he just going to start an upper battle, which also makes it more challenging because that puts him in a position, well, you couldn't survive. See, this is why we didn't want to give you to another team. You couldn't make it happen.
I didn't even notice that because I've been paying attention, but I know that. So this might bode well for Eric Bieniemy, right? Because whenever they want, they need to revolutionize the team or restart. They'll go get a brother to take the worst job, right? They got. They do. Got
That's what they do.
Watson there. They got Deshaun Watson there. But if they don't got no first round pick, okay, you come in and make some magic happen for us. That's what they'll do. So Bieniemy, he might get that job. Now that you said,
look, not a first round pick, not a second round pick, and they don't have no money. They have. Go ahead.
But what they can do, bouncing off what Reggie said, because I've seen it happen 3 times. They did it with Tony Dungy when Tony was in Tampa. They had a horrible team. He built the team up. They got him out there, got a white coach to win. They did it with Mark Jackson for the Warriors. The team was horrible. He put that team together. They got him out of there, had a white coach come in, and now he's
That's what they always do.
That's what they always do. So
they always do that. And they always have us come in and pick up the mess. Like, they just hired the Capitol, the head of the Capitol Police. What they do? They got rid of whoever they had and put in a black woman. Same thing when all the riots and stuff happened. They got rid of all of the white people who were the head, and then they put in a black person. It happens every single time in almost every situation. Janora, did we get to you on this? Because
no, you didn't. I've just been attentively listening to all of this knowledge y'all are spitting.
Go ahead.
I definitely am a huge football fan. I cannot speak in terms of like who's behind the sidelines for the most part. But what struck me is our conversation stopped with just the coach. And I feel like there's this whole paradigm of leadership that's also missing, specifically ownership. But then that brings up a conversation about generational wealth, which I think is another purposeful slight to describe it at the very least of our history. But I think it is a reflection of the generational wealth that is missing to be able to be like, oh yeah, I'll grab that team up, which is again makes me encouraged to see even a spark of folks saying, all right, let's pull our money together to get this team or to make something happen, if that's what it takes to start the ball rolling.
But with the NFL, and this is why it's always referred to as the old boys club, right? They have to vote you in to be able to buy a team.
Oh,
so do we think there's never been black people with money that wanted to buy a team? They ain't letting you buy a team because if people don't understand, the NFL is a cash register. That's all it is. You ain't losing money if you own an NFL team. There is absolutely almost no way, unless we go through a pandemic decade where they can't have fans in the stadium. But even the fans in the stadium, that's just cake because the TV contract pays the salaries, pays everything. When they get fans in the stadium and the concessions and the jersey sales, all that stuff, that's just extra profit. The team already gave them all the money they need. Now they're just making extras with fans and concessions and all that, right? So are they going to let black people get in on that cash cow? That's been the problem.
That just reminds me when what's his name? Bill Cosby wanted to buy NBC, and they was like, hell to the no. But maybe we know why now. Let me just jump into this last thing real quick before we get to our BPS. So on a positive note, I just want to make sure we bring this up. The Washington football team, who does not have a mascot name yet, just so you guys know, they had to change their name, promoted Jennifer King to assistant running backs coach on Tuesday, making her the first Black woman to become a full-time coach in the NFL. And I just wanted to make sure that we did bring that up, which I think is wonderful, positive. Of course, there is a question I would ask. If somebody has never played football, do you think that they can be a coach?
Oh, she's played football. She's been all-star quarterback 7 years in a row for her female football league before she got into coaching.
Okay.
So, but I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were.
No, that's a good. No, I did not know that.
Somebody, yeah, she knows the game. Absolutely. Okay. So she knows the game. I think the conversation about her is more of a gender conversation than a color conversation, which is a whole different conversation.
Mm-hmm. No, I thought it was wonderful. What are your thoughts? Because you guys, are men, and I'm just curious to know what your thoughts are.
Reggie?
Abdul's like, I'm gonna let you go first.
Rephrase the question for me, though. The thoughts on being
about a woman, just about a woman being able to come in to be a coach.
I think it's dope. I think it's dope. Just there's people who don't play. There's people who are better coaches than they ever were players. Right?
True.
You plug it in from. There's people who are coaches. The best coach. Greg Popovich didn't play in no NBA. Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Maybe the greatest basketball coach of all time. There's tons of people that can come in, and all you have to do is just be a student of the game. And the main thing that she's going to have to get is just respect. And that speaks to, I think, what Janora was talking about is it's going to come to respect. Are men going to want to listen to this woman tell them how to play a game that women, on the most part, don't play with the same physicality? And if she's able to bring a level of expertise and knowledge of what she's talking about, then it almost comes back to what we were talking about with head coaches and ownership. It'll be sexism and ignorance on the players' parts, because if somebody can help you get to where you haven't gone and you don't want to listen because they don't look like you, then you're a damn fool.
There you go. Abdul, I know we're almost over our time, but go ahead. I want to make sure you get your 2 cents in.
I thought it was interesting.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, two mics up said, of course she can, but I agree with Janora. The question is really gender-based. Will the male athletes be receptive to her? And I totally agree with you.
Not just that, but she did hurt a lot of ex-football players who were looking for that exact same job. Like people who actually played that position and were a wealth of knowledge. I mean, like Deion Sanders just got a head coaching job. Deion Sanders just got a coaching job. And it's for a black college. He's never been hired in the NFL. And she jumped over a line of ex-players and people who are really talented in that field who are all looking for a job. And I'm more concerned. I'm happy that she got it. I'm happy a black person got it. Congratulations to a black woman for doing well. That my concern is not even her abilities or capabilities or anything of that nature. You know what I mean? It's a mental thing, being able to teach somebody how to do a job, because some of the best players aren't the best coaches. But my concern is, are they going to politicize this? And is this a pushback from Kaepernick? My brain is just goes thinking about, okay, we fumbled the Kaepernick thing, and now there's this movement going on. Are we just deflecting all these other things that we have going on? I don't know. Just I don't have it thought out in my head properly.
Right. And I think I was kind of trying to go in that direction. I ended up asking, to me, in my opinion, by saying, her not playing. I think that's the direction that I was kind of moving in. But I have to say, I want to make sure I make this point, is I was talking to my mentor, and I remember back when she was in the 80s at her job, and they basically hired her because something happened at that particular place, and the NAACP got on them. And so they ended up hiring her in a leadership position, although they didn't really give her anything to do. And she just created her own little avenue. But she got hired for that particular reason that you're talking about, which is, okay, we're going to just do something to, make up for whatever. But go ahead, Janora. So that happens all the time. And who knows? Did she get hired because of that? Or did she get hired because she's a woman and black? But the question is, at the end of the day, what is she going to be able to do with it? Which I'm hoping that she'll succeed. Go ahead.
Yes, we are putting out there all good things for Jennifer King. Is she's going to represent BigBomb.com and continue to blaze the trail and make room for others. What I was going to say, though, about the Washington football team, which I still have to get used to saying Washington football team.
I know.
They also just hired the first Black league president as well. So maybe just the Washington team itself is making new waves and rules and ways for people of color to represent in the league.
And they got all that pushback because of their name. They've been called racist for like a long time.
That's very true.
Gotta start somewhere.
Okay, so let's get to our BPS person of the week. So just so you guys know, if this is your first time watching the show, we always like to honor someone who is doing something amazing in the Black community, because we don't get a chance to see us be amazing. So with that being said, our BPS person of the week is a young female gymnast whose standout routine went viral this week because of her amazing athleticism and her unapologetic Blackness. Playing songs from Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce, Nia Denise, a senior and gymnast at UCLA, had such a spectacular floor routine last Saturday. Not only was she awarded a 9.95, which I think she should have got a 10, but it also helped the Bruins get a victory over the Arizona State Sun Devils, even though the UCLA team was short-handed. And I have to say that the former president, Obama, also tweeted her out, which I thought was beautiful. And here's a glimpse of her routine. It's coming up. Wow. That's not some Black girl magic. I don't know what is. And so for your hard work and dedication to your craft and your swag, you are our BPS person of the week, Miss Nina Denise. So I just want y'all to know, I used to be a gymnast. I was not good at any way, shape, or form, but I used to be a gymnast for about 4 years. And back then, they would not let you do all that extra, none of that stuff. I mean, it was none of that stuff.
Russian music. They had you play Russian fiddles, and that's all you would be able to play.
Pretty much.
Russian music.
Pretty much. So yes, so I give her props. With that being said, are there any last words, anything that you want to share, Reggie, where people can catch you? I hope that you enjoyed the show today.
Yeah, so fun. Thank y'all for having me. I don't know if y'all, the dopest part of that whole routine to me was that she was sea walking.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw the sea walk, right? I saw
Yeah.
that. Anytime I see somebody sea walk, I lose my mind. It's just the funniest thing to me, especially when I see grown men my age sea walking in a video or something. I die laughing. But it was so dope to see her sea walking on the UCLA gym floor. That was crazy. And I thank y'all for having me. It was a great discussion. I appreciate it. I love doing this. It's one of my passions, just talking sports and talking life. You can find me on Instagram at Coach with Reg, all one word, on Twitter at Reggie Watkins Jr. And my nonprofit is the Valley of Change. You can find us at the Valley of Change, all one word, on Instagram, and at Valley Change on Twitter. Thank y'all.
Awesome. Any last words, Abdul?
Yeah, I just find it really amazing how 1 year or a couple of years can change. Because I remember at the U.S. Open, I believe it was, Serena Williams did a sea walk, and they just jumped all over her for doing it. And then now this young lady is able to do it, and she's praised and loved for it. So good job, Black community, for being able to embrace our culture.
Janora?
Yeah. Thank you, Reggie, for bringing your love and your light to the show. That was a lot of fun to have another male energy besides Abdul in the top corner. So your presence was definitely appreciated. And to everybody who tuned in, you guys went in on these comments. Shout out to Kathy.
Yeah.
Joseph, Tangerine, Kim dropping knowledge at 2 mics up. I'll let you guys know when you can catch that. We'll be spending some time together this weekend. Thank you for tuning in. The show is what it is because of the folks that show up and also pour in love and light. So thank you all.
Okay, and next week when you guys tune in, we will be talking about the vaccine. I have a friend of mine, really good friend of mine. His name is Dr. James Simmons. He took both shots. He talks about it all the time. Great energy, great character, and funny, but serious all at the same time. He's going to be on the show next week, so make sure you guys tune in. And then let's just discuss, like, should we be taking this vaccine or shouldn't we? And if I could find somebody else that could come on the show that's against the vaccine, who's a doctor, I might try to do that as well. But again, this is This Week in Black People Should. I'm your host, Christy Ferris, and we are signing out. And thank you guys. Have a good night.